Before we start, I want you to think about someone. Not a celebrity, not someone with millions of followers. Someone quiet, someone most people have never heard of. Someone who changed the course of your life with a sentence, with a book, with a single conversation you still think about years later. Got them in your mind? Good. Now ask yourself, did they go viral? Were they chasing an algorithm? Were they performing for a crowd that didn't know their name? Or were they just real, specific, honest, almost uncomfortably so? They found you, or you found them. And that moment, that quiet, precise collision between what they had to say and who you were, changed something in you permanently. That is what this video is about. Not growth hacks, not follower strategies. The deep, sometimes dark psychology of why the right 5 people will always matter more than 5 million strangers. Welcome to Imperial Mindset. Let's go. Let's start with something most people don't want to admit. The world you grew up in was designed deliberately, systematically, and with extraordinary psychological sophistication to make you chase the wrong things. This isn't a theory. This is documented behavioral science applied at industrial scale. In the 1970s, researchers began studying what they called social validation, the human need to feel approved of by large groups, to be liked, to be seen, to belong. It's one of the oldest survival instincts we carry. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by the tribe meant death. Your brain still carries that ancient terror in its circuitry. And platforms found that trigger. They studied it. They ran thousands of experiments on it. They hired the best behavioral scientists money could buy. And then they built entire empires on exploiting it. The like button wasn't invented because it was good for you. It was invented because the anticipation of social approval releases dopamine, the same neurochemical pathway activated by gambling, by drugs, by the moment just before you open a gift. You post, you wait, you check, you refresh. And in that waiting, in that compulsive refreshing, you become a user in both senses of the word. You use the platform, and the platform uses you. Now here is where it gets darker. Once your nervous system is calibrated to the dopamine hit of likes and views, you stop making decisions based on what is true or meaningful. You start making decisions based on what will be approved of. You stop asking, what do I actually believe? You start asking, what will people respond to? And slowly, almost invisibly, you begin to disappear. Not physically, but creatively, spiritually. You become a performance of yourself rather than yourself. The applause feels real. The numbers go up. You've been taught since childhood that popularity equals value. But popularity and value are not the same thing. They never were. And the sooner you truly internalize that, the sooner you stop running someone else's race. If this is already hitting different, if you feel like you've been running that race and you're tired, this is exactly the kind of thinking we unpack every week on Imperial Mindset. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The videos we make here are not for everyone. They're for the person who is ready to think differently about power, influence, and how the mind actually works. Now let's go deeper. Let me introduce you to a concept that the most powerful communicators in history understood intuitively, even if they never named it. It's called targeted resonance. And here's how it works. The human brain is processing somewhere between 11 million and 40 million bits of information every single second, from your environment, from your body, from your memories and subconscious patterns. But your conscious mind can only process about 40 to 50 bits per second, which means the brain has one overriding job: filter. It has to decide, in milliseconds, what matters and what doesn't, what deserves attention and what gets discarded. And the single most powerful filter the brain uses is personal relevance. If something feels like it was made for you, if it speaks to your specific pain, your specific question, your specific experience, your brain overrides all the noise and locks on. This is why you can be in a crowded, loud room and suddenly hear your own name from across the space. Your brain is always scanning for you. When a piece of content triggers that same recognition, when someone's words feel like they were pulled directly from your own interior, the person doesn't just consume it, they receive it. Consumption is passive, reception is active. Reception means the message lands somewhere deep and stays there. And here's the critical insight that most creators never understand. Broad content cannot create this experience. When you try to appeal to everyone, you appeal deeply to no one. You become background noise. You become the thing the brain filters out before conscious thought even kicks in. But narrow content, specific, honest, sometimes uncomfortable content, can hit a small number of people like a lightning bolt. 5 people who receive your message with that kind of depth will do more for your life and your legacy than 5,000 passive consumers. Because those 5 will carry it. Not because you asked them to, not because there was a share button, because they found something that felt true, and real things demand to be passed forward. They'll send it to the one person in their life who needs to hear it with urgency, with the words, "You need to watch this. This person is saying the thing I couldn't say." That human-to-human transmission is the oldest distribution system in the world. And it is still the most powerful one. I want to go somewhere uncomfortable now. The most extreme example of targeted resonance in human history isn't marketing, it isn't art. It's cults. Stay with me. I'm not here to advocate for cults. I'm asking you to understand them, because understanding the mechanism is how you protect yourself from it. Recognize it when it's being used on you, and in some ways, use its principles for something genuinely good. Cults do not recruit by broadcasting. They don't run mass campaigns. They don't try to convince the general public. They find specific people. People who are isolated, people who are questioning, people who feel like the mainstream world has looked straight through them. And then they say, explicitly or implicitly, something that is among the most psychologically powerful things a human being can hear. We understand you. Finally. That's it. That's the hook. Not theology. Not ideology. Not an argument. The feeling of being found. Robert Cialdini, one of the foremost researchers on the psychology of influence, documented this extensively. His principle of liking states that we are exponentially more likely to be influenced by, loyal to, and emotionally moved by people who feel like us, who seem to share our specific view of the world, who reflect our identity back to us with precision. Cults manufacture that feeling artificially. They overwhelm new recruits with attention and affirmation, a technique called love bombing, creating the sensation of finally belonging somewhere. It works because the underlying need is real. The need to be known, the need to be understood, the need to matter to someone who actually gets it. These are not weaknesses. These are fundamental human hungers. And here is where it connects back to you and to your work. Every time you create something real, something that comes from your actual experience, your actual thinking, your actual pain or obsession, you are offering a genuine version of that same thing. Not manufactured affirmation. Authentic recognition. You are saying, here is what I see, here is what I know. If you see it too, if this has been your experience, then you are not alone in it. The difference between a manipulator and a genuine creator is not the mechanism. The mechanism is identical. The difference is the intent. The manipulator uses precision to extract, to make you loyal to something that will eventually harm you, to fill your need for belonging with a doctrine a dependency, a product that serves them, not you. The genuine creator uses precision to give. They say, "Here is a true thing I found. It cost me something to find it. Maybe it saves you the same cost." No extraction, no manipulation, no lock-in. Just the radical, underrated act of telling the truth in a specific enough way that the right person, when they find it, feels less alone. That is what Imperial Mindset is built on. Not tactics, not performance. The truth delivered precisely to the people who are ready to receive it. There is a Stoic concept that has lived in my mind for a long time. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men in the ancient world, wrote his deepest thinking in a private journal, a journal he never intended to publish, a journal written only for himself. He wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about other men. Look within." He was the most famous person in the Western world, and his most honest work was done in private, not for the crowd, not for approval, for truth. There is something in that worth sitting with. Kafka asked his friend to burn his manuscripts after he died. Emily Dickinson published fewer than a dozen poems in her lifetime. Van Gogh sold one painting in his entire life. Now, I am not romanticizing obscurity. I am not telling you to hide your work or to avoid success. I am saying something more precise. The work that lasts is almost always made from the inside out. Not from the audience backward. Not from, what do people want? But from, what is true? What do I know? What have I seen that others haven't said yet? And when you create from that place, from the inside out, something important happens. The work becomes unfakeable. You cannot manufacture depth. You cannot A/B test your way to something that feels true. You cannot optimize your way to resonance. Resonance is a byproduct of honesty, of specificity, of the courage to say the thing you actually think, even if it means most people scroll past. Most people should scroll past. They're not who this is for. The ones who stop, the ones who rewind, who sit with it, who come back days later, those are your 5. And your 5 people are out there right now, searching, scrolling, looking for the specific thing that only you can give them, because only you have lived your particular life and seen through your particular eyes. The question is not whether they exist. The question is whether you're willing to be specific enough, honest enough for them to find you. If you want to go even deeper on this, the psychology of influence, how power actually moves between people, and how to build something that genuinely lasts, we have an entire library of videos on this channel built around exactly that. Drop a comment below telling me, who was the one person or piece of content that found you at exactly the right time? I read every comment, and your answer might end up shaping a future Imperial Mindset video. Now let's talk about the trap, the one that's already caught most people. Here is one of the saddest things I have witnessed about creativity in the digital age. People start with a spark. Something real, something they genuinely want to say. A perspective built from their experience, their reading, their suffering, their obsession. They put it into the world, and then they watch the numbers. And the numbers tell them what worked. And slowly, not all at once, but slowly they adjust. They make more of what got views. They make less of what felt true but didn't perform. They begin listening to the audience more than they listen to themselves. And somewhere in that process, somewhere between the first real thing they made and the 30th optimized thing, the spark goes out. The content is still there. The uploads continue. The audience might even grow. But something is gone. And the creator feels it before anyone else does. They feel the hollowness of making things that don't cost them anything, that don't come from anywhere real, that are just units of attention dressed up as ideas. This is what platform-driven creativity does to people at scale. It teaches them to perform instead of create. And performance, sustained performance, performance that requires you to constantly read the room and adjust yourself to it, is exhausting in a way that goes beyond tired. Psychologists call it self-monitoring, the degree to which you adjust your behavior based on external signals rather than internal truth. High self-monitors are often charismatic, adaptable, socially skilled, but chronic high self-monitoring comes with a cost. You lose track of what you actually think. You lose the thread back to yourself. And when you lose that thread, when you no longer know what you believe, independent of what your audience wants you to believe, you've given away something very difficult to recover. The antidote is not to ignore feedback. The antidote is to make sure the audience does not precede the work. Make the thing first, from the inside, as true as you can make it. Then release it. Let the algorithm do what it does. Let the numbers be what they are. But do not let the numbers tell you who to be. Now let me show you the math that nobody talks about. Not views, not impressions. The math of genuine impact. When 5 people truly receive your work, when it lands in that deep, identity-level way, something happens that no algorithm can replicate or manufacture. They tell people, not because you asked, not because of a share prompt, because they found something real, and real things demand to be passed on. And here is what matters about who they tell. They don't broadcast it. They tell the one person in their life who they know will understand, the friend who has been carrying the same question, the colleague who needs this exact perspective, the person who has felt the same thing but never heard it named. They are not sharing content. They are delivering something that felt precious to them. And what passes between them is not a video. It is recognition. Now contrast that with virality. A viral video reaches millions. Most of those millions watch 30 seconds, feel mildly entertained, scroll on, and never think about it again. Nothing compounded. Nothing lasted. The attention came in like a flood and drained out just as fast. But 5 people who carry your work? They compound over months, over years, over decades. The most powerful movements in human history didn't start viral. The early Christian church, the Enlightenment salons, the Harlem Renaissance, the early hip-hop movement, none of them were broadcast events. All of them began with a small number of people who found something true and could not stop talking about it. You are not trying to start a trend. You are trying to start a conversation that matters. And 5 real people are enough to do that. I want to ask you something directly. Not as a rhetorical device, actually directly. Who are your 5 people? Not as a demographic, not as a target audience in a content plan. As human beings, what are they struggling with right now? What question have they been carrying for years that nobody has answered well? What truth do they suspect but have never heard anyone say out loud? What is the thing they feel completely alone in? Because that is where you meet them. Not with a thumbnail, not with a trending topic, with the thing they feel alone in. With the courage to say, I know this feeling. I've been in this place. Here is what I found. That is the entire formula. That is everything. When you make from that place, when your work is a genuine attempt to reach a specific person with a specific truth, it stops being content. It becomes correspondence. Letters written to someone you haven't met yet. And those people are out there right now, tonight, searching, 3 clicks away from finding something you made and having the exact experience that changed everything for you when that one creator, that one book, that one conversation reached through the noise and said the thing that rearranged something inside you permanently. you are someone's 5. The only question is whether you're willing to do the work of being findable. Not popular, not viral, not optimized. Just honest enough, specific enough, real enough that when the right person finds you, they know. Here is the final thing I want to leave with you. The world will always reward the loud over the true, the broad over the deep, the viral over the meaningful. That is the nature of mass systems. They optimize for what travels fastest, not for what lasts longest. But you are not a mass system. You are a person. And somewhere out there, 5 people are waiting for the specific, true, honest, uncomfortable thing that only you can give them. Not your polished version, not your optimized version, not the version you made after checking what the algorithm rewards. You, your actual thinking, your actual experience, your actual voice. Stop performing for the crowd that doesn't know you. Start writing letters to the 5 people who need you. They're out there. Go be findable. If this video found you at the right time, if something in here landed, then you already understand what I mean about the right 5 people. Share this with one person, just one. The person in your life who you know needs to hear this right now. And if you're new here, subscribe to Imperial Mindset. We don't make content for everyone. We make it for the person who is ready to see things differently. I'll see you in the next one.